I've felt compelled to bring this way of being to other people. I had to unwind from years and years and years of being the bold, irreverent corporate executive and figure out the real me. The thing that really snapped me out of it is I continue to have a recurring nightmare for a year. At least 4 or 5 nights a week, over and over and over again. I would wake up screaming and crying in the middle of the night, just soaking wet, completely emotional, and every time I had seen the same thing. Every time I was on a journey through a house that didn't look familiar, but it felt familiar. It had all the signs that I lived there. And every time I found a new room in that house that I had never been aware existed in that house. And it was always a different room, and it always had one closet. And I would always, out of that same sense of curiosity, I'd walk over to that one closet and I would open that one closet. And every single time I would open that closet, I would see my dog who had died. I don't know how many years prior, but multiple years prior to that period of time. And he was alive and he was malnourished. And he was neglected. And he was living in this closet. I didn't know he was alive. I didn't know he existed. And I just felt such sadness and such shame and such how could I not know my dog's alive? How could I not be taking care of him? How could I be responsible for this? What kind of monster am I? And it was always at that moment that I woke up. And it dawned on me one day, about 6 months in, that I was staring at my soul. I was walking into this room I didn't know existed, into a place in my body that I didn't know existed, into this closet called my soul. And I was seeing it malnourished and starving and longing for attention. And I had to come to terms with that. And that nightmare happened every single week until I left Harley-Davidson, till I walked away from corporate America and made the decision to dig deeper into that soul of mine, that precious, beautiful soul, and better understand it and nurture it and feed it. See what comes from that. And I walked away just over 2 years ago, and I've never, ever, ever had that nightmare again. I think it was a message that I understand now about, loving my soul is loving myself. And I wasn't doing either. I think the room inside the room was how closed off, how much that armor had taken over in my way of being and my way of living in the world. It was pure survival and coping. I wasn't listening to my body. I wasn't listening to my soul. And one morning I woke up and it was just as certain as if it were sitting on my bedside. And it was almost like a love note to myself. And it was talking to me about the journey I was going to go on, the fact that I was now chief soul officer of my own life, and that my journey was called a Soulbbatical. And that's where I was going to love and listen and nourish myself. And then I felt like, okay, I got it. I can plant my flag. So I used that as the starting point for unraveling this identity, this previous identity that I'd come wrapped up in, because I thought if I called myself chief soul officer of my own life, then I had a responsibility to understand this beautiful soul of mine. And I had a responsibility to understand who I am in this world and the impact that I want to have in this world. And that felt big. I absolutely love Anna Eastman, and I have so many quotes that I love from her. And the one that I think defines both Soulbbatical and what happened to my soul is, I'm going to try to get this right. The day comes when the risk to remain tight in a bud is more painful than the risk to blossom. And that's what I feel like this is all about. This journey and this work that I'm now doing in the world is about, not being like this, not staying and fighting to stay and resisting in that tight bud, but blossoming. It's a powerful thing to be in relationship with one's body and one's soul. It's like the whole world is accessible. Everything is accessible. And as a result, I'm creating the life that I want to live. I'm contributing to create the world I want to live in. Man, I could have never imagined this when I walked out the door 2 years ago. I could not imagine this place that I'm in. I didn't know there was such freedom and such joy and such choice and such love in the world. And I'm able to create it. I want everybody to feel this way. I feel like that's my mission. I want the world to feel this way, because it sucks to feel the other way. There's so much pain and hurt, and I've been there, and I've been sick, and I've ignored it all. And I've created my own prison for decades. Yeah, the freedom of letting go, the freedom of just taking those shackles off. Yeah, that's fucking amazing.